And welcome back to Straight Talk. If you're trying to buy or sell a home in 2026, this market can feel hard to pin down. From interest rates to competition, what really matters most right now? Joining us today, managing principal broker Kari McGee with Living Room Realty, and Evan Swanson, a senior loan officer and financial planner with Guild Mortgage. Kari, Evan, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, let's dive right in. Kari, I want to start with you. Big picture, are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market right now in the Portland metro area in Southwest Washington?
Yeah, we are kind of in a transition period. So the answer is we have kind of a balanced market. For the first time in a really long time, we have been solidly in seller territory for a good 10, 12, 13 years.
Wow.
And buyers are having a little more leverage than they've had in a long time right now.
Okay, nice. That's good news for a lot of people who've been waiting to buy a house. So what type of house right now gets lots of offers and one that would typically just sit?
Yeah, they're definitely, my expertise is the Portland metro area, and there's definitely that Portland look, the cute wallpaper and the lovely open kitchen. That house is completely dialed, always gets a lot of attention. And then there's some other, important factors like location, size, just bathroom count's a big one. But location and property condition, we've just got the HGTV, perfect, ta-da, like it's done, everything's perfect when we move in kind of culture right now.
Okay, so get your wallpaper ready if you want to sell, maybe.
Yeah, cute wallpaper.
Okay, great. Well, what price range of houses is popular right now and is kind of moving?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we hear so much about the affordability housing crisis right now. And in December, a lot of the sales, 55%, were in that $300K to $600K price point, which was a really lovely counterpoint to this narrative that only really wealthy people with a lot of money can buy houses right now. That means first-time home buyers, downsizers, some investors were really active at the end of 2025 and successful. We had a nice little bump in closed sales, and 55% of those sales were that price point.
So that's good to know for people who are those first-time home buyers. There is a good amount of houses for people in that 300 to 500. What's the average price for Portland area right now?
Right now it's $612,000.
Okay, so there are still those houses under that range.
Mm-hmm.
Evan, I want to talk about rates, interest rates. Of course, that's a big part of buying a house. Right now, they're sitting in the low 6%. We've seen the mortgage rates go down slowly over the last year, and right now they're the lowest they've been in the last 3 years.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for the market, and how is that having an impact on sales?
Well, it makes a big difference, and it's not only that mortgage rates right now are in that lower end of that range, but the duration of time we've had with them. So in the last 3 years, when mortgage rates have increased, or I would say normalized, they've oscillated between 6 and 8% over that time. There's been 3 or 4 other times where mortgage rates have come down to these levels, but for very short periods of time, like a week or two. So it hasn't given really buyers a chance to get approved and go shop for a home and go through the process. But what we're seeing right now is the start of 2026 is very active, and I think we've had over 110 days now where the average conventional mortgage has been below 6.5%, and that's really spurring demand.
That's great for a lot of people who want to buy. What do you tell people who say, I really want to wait till we get back to that 3% I've heard of before?
Might be waiting a long time. From 2010 to 2022, the federal government was literally subsidizing mortgage rates. And of course, they were trying to respond to a problem of the housing crash where no one was buying houses. So what could they do? Well, they could subsidize mortgage rates to increase demand. And much of the reason we were in a seller's market for the past 12 years is mortgage rates were 3 to 5%. Well, that subsidy went away in 2022 and mortgage rates have since normalized. So unless the government elects to get back into the business of buying up mortgages on a large scale, we're probably going to be around this range.
This is going to be the good rate we're seeing for a while.
I think so. I think so.
Let's talk about the golden handcuffs, because that plays into that really good mortgage rate, and sellers didn't want to give that up. Are we seeing people finally get off the sidelines and putting their houses onto the market in that regard?
We are starting to see that. What everybody forgets is that life happens, and you don't always have control over that. So having babies, divorces, deaths in the family or in the relationship, you want to move closer to your grandchildren who are now in St. Louis. Like all of those things happen that we don't always have control over. I think where we're seeing this golden handcuffs idea still play out stronger than for the rest of the market is that luxury price point, $1 million plus, especially the $2 million plus, where people have more money, they have the ability to wait things out and sort of have the flexibility to remodel themselves or to create what they don't maybe have. So we're still seeing that kind of situation, but But we're also seeing a lot of those people who want to move. They are reaching out, they're talking to real estate agents to consider a move, and they're not willing to buy before they sell right now.
Yeah.
And that's a big change for that luxury market.
Let's talk about affordability. That's like, I think, the word of the last year and going into 2026. For people who want to buy a house this year, there's a difference between maybe what they qualify for and maybe what they should borrow. What would you like people to keep in mind?
Well, I think affordability is better right now. And the example I can give, as you mentioned earlier, mortgage rates have improved by about 1% in the past year. So that's the equivalent of home prices falling by about 10 to 12%. In other words, if rates were still at 7%, it would take home prices falling by 10 to 12% to have the same payments. So homes are more affordable today. We really haven't seen a lot of appreciation in home prices in the Portland metro area the last couple years. So the fact that home prices are more or less flat and now mortgage rates are lower, homes are gradually more affordable. We have seen wage growth across the region. So it's not back to where it was clearly in the days when rates were 3 to 5%, but it's better.
You just have about 30 seconds. So
Okay.
for buyers out there, what
Yeah.
would you want them to keep in mind this year?
There's no perfect house, and waiting to get closer to 5 or under 6, if that's what you're doing, is going to bring so much competition on the buyer front into the market, and it's really hard to buy a house in those really tough sellers forward markets.
And for sellers, what would you want them to keep in mind?
Sellers, I would say it's a process to get from A to Z to actually get closed. There's a lot going on for buyers right now, and getting something closed is different than getting under contract.
Okay. Great advice for both of you. Thank you so much for Out of Time, but it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having us.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you back next week here on Straight Talk.